What's up, everybody? Hey, I just wanted to say welcome to another episode, weekly episode of This Brother Talks. We got a lot to dig into for those who get on and check it out. I just want to say appreciate you checking it out. Appreciate you coming on weekly, and I do my best to respond back to some of the comments and things that go on during this session. First and foremost, we want to start out with we're going to talk about Serena Williams. Serena Williams just recently lost in the semifinals in the Australian Open against Naomi Osaka. A lot of people kind of saying Serena's going to retire. She's done. This was it. Basically trying to, send her on her merry way. But one thing people fail to realize is Serena has dominated tennis for a number of years now. I mean, when you look at everything she has, she's 39 years old and Osaka's 23. I mean, she's almost half her age or whatever. But, that is, this is an example of kind of like when Tiger Woods was running everything in golf and, he changed the sport. And then now he's playing when later on in his years, and now he's playing against, guys that was watching him and revered him and, wanting to be like him. So, and this is the same thing, Osaka, she says Serena's her idol. She's watched Serena for years, but I mean, just listen to this. Serena has won 23 Grand Slam single titles. That's the most in the Open era. And she's only second for the most majors behind Margaret Court. I mean, that says a lot. And for her to dominate that sport, and she's about to be 40 years old this year and still playing at a high level. She's cracked the top 10 and in the world. And so with that being said, only way I feel like it's over for her is if she says it's over. Just because she lost in that semifinals doesn't mean it's over for her. I mean, if you look at the match, you go back and look at it, she had a lot of unforced turnovers. It was solely on her. It's not like, and I'm not taking nothing against from Naomi Osaka, but at the end of the day, Serena had a lot of unforced turnovers, unforced errors. I'm sorry. And I just feel like a lot of people trying to write her off, send her on a merry way. But I mean, it had to be kind of emotional for her because, she was playing so well and she got to the semifinals. I mean, how many 39-year-olds constantly, when I say constantly, she's constantly in the runnings for a major to win a singles majors always. It's like whenever you see it, she's always, oh, well, Serena has a real good chance to win this. And this is still at the age of 39. And, in this one, she had a lot of unforced, errors. And then, I feel like age played a big difference, Osaka is really, 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 really good. And Serena's still good. And she ended up losing 6-3, 6-4 in the semifinals. And a lot of people wrote her off like, this might be the end for Serena. And if she does, if she want to just go off and, enjoy married life and motherhood, then let her be. But it has nothing to do with her losing in this semifinals. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think that she had in her mind that she wanted to win because I know she wants to get 24. She wants to get 24 so she can, tie Margaret Court. But to win 23 Grand Slams in the Open era is impressive, is very impressive. And regardless of her losing this or not, I will say this. Serena is the greatest tennis player I ever seen. Then also, she's one of the greatest athletes to ever grace this earth. And you notice I didn't say female athlete, I said athlete, because she's up there with You know, they talk about GOAT talks and all that good stuff. She's up there in that GOAT conversation because look what she's done. I mean, look what Serena's done. She like, who watches tennis and doesn't want to see her when she's not there? The ratings are not nearly as high as they are when she's playing, because everybody wants to get, you know, a shot of Serena. You know, whether it's the outfits, whether it's the fist pumps, the yells, you know, and just, you know, the good tennis play. But at the end of the day, Serena will go down as one of the greatest athletes that we have ever seen in sports. And I would say she's the greatest women's tennis athlete that we've seen, that I've seen. And, you know, some may disagree, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And so I don't think people should write her off right now. I think she still can play, you know, tennis for a few more years. It's just, you know, it's up to her. When she's ready to go, she will go. When, you know, it's gonna be that when she's ready, she's gonna be ready. You know, so don't write Serena off. Don't write her off, because she played a hell of a tournament. She just had a bad game against another great tennis player, you know, somebody who's up and coming. And I wouldn't say it was a passing of the torch or anything, because, you know, they could play again and Serena could possibly beat her. I mean, it's just a matter of just give her time, let her think about it, you know, and go from there. I think she played really good tennis. It's just she had one bad match, and that bad match cost her in the semifinals, because if she doesn't play bad, she beats Osaka, and then she goes on to win the Australian Open. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it, because if she would have got to that championship, she would have won. And so don't write Serena off. Serena's going to be fine. And if she decides that she want to hang it up, she's doing it on her terms. It has nothing to do with this Australian Open. Nothing at all. All right, so we're going to kind of move kind of quickly here today, because I got a bevy of topics that I want to talk about. And my next topic is going to be, you know, Cam Newton being disrespected by a kid at camp. I watched the video, and, you know, I've seen a lot of people get upset with Cam because Cam made some comments, you know, to the kid. The kid says, "You're a free agent, you about to be poor." And he kept saying he was rich. He was rich. And I'm not absolving Cam, because we all are human, and we all have those times where we have to take a step back and be like, oh, this is a kid, or this is something that I really shouldn't entertain. And, you know, so, but this kid, what I saw in this right here was this kid really, I really wish this kid wouldn't approach Cam like that, because whenever I saw it, the first thing I thought of, this is very ungrateful. And a lot of people might disagree with me, but Cam Newton was there, professional football player. He's a sponsor for that 7-on-7, you know, football camp, and he was there. A lot of times these professional athletes, they'll sponsor something, and then lo and behold, they don't show up, or they might show up the last few, you know, the last couple of minutes of the last day or something like that. And for him to be there, that kid could learn a lot from Cam Newton. Cam Newton was a Super Bowl. He wasn't a Super Bowl winner, but he got his team to the Super Bowl. But he was also an NFL MVP. And you can't be no slouch or somebody that's no good or don't know anything about the sport whenever you've been an MVP. And whenever I saw that video, the first thing I said, this kid is very ungrateful, at least at that particular moment in time, because he could be a grateful kid. It was just this particular situation, he showed ungratefulness, because Cam there, he's a sponsor. He's sponsoring you to be at this camp. So he has a lot to do with you being there. And the kid can learn a lot. And, you know, eventually he apologized. And I won't get too much into the apology, because then I would kind of undermine everything, because I mean, it was a well put together, written out apology. And I think he has some help from his parents because, I mean, from what it sounds like, he has to be a pretty good kid. He just had a bad moment. But, that's one thing that we need to teach our kids is that everything, be appreciative for what people do for you. And at the same time, when you're appreciating that, if you had an issue with an adult, and that's the way I looked at it, it was just so disrespectful to an adult. And that's the thing that bothered me because I grew up, Carolyn Sue told me that, you're going to respect your elders, the older people, it was yes, sir, no, sir. And, that's what it was. And so with Cam, he could have went about it a better way to start out with, but then he took a step back and was like, oh, this is a kid that I'm talking to. And I feel like if the football coach or somebody was around, the parents were around, they should have checked that kid. It should have been, I know if it was one of mine, that's what it would have been. And Sabrina, I agree with you. It's a very teachable moment. You can teach this kid, you can teach all these kids that this is not something that you do. Be appreciative. This guy's here. He doesn't have to be here. I mean, he could be doing other things with his time. And TC, I have to agree with you. Yeah, and a Heisman winner. That says a lot. He was at the top of his game in college and in the NFL. And you got to learn from that. And then one thing people fail to realize, the kids kept saying, well, you're a free agent. Sometimes that's a good thing to be a free agent. That lets you know that you got some options. You got a whole lot of options. And then for kids, him to say, oh, you're going to be broke. You're about to be poor. Cam Newton makes money off the football field. It's more than just playing sports and stuff just to make money. And TC, I agree. You got to blame the coach because I know the coach was somewhere. He was somewhere lurking. He was somewhere. I've coached sports and yeah, sometimes it's a lot of kids and you could be all over the place, but I kept my eyes on them because at the end of the day, they're your responsibility. So you should have went to that kid. Hey, and first things first, in their mind, they know if I catch them doing something like that, then it's gonna be some hell to pay because you don't go out disrespecting people, especially ones that's trying to provide, ones that's trying to help you out, the ones that's trying to make sure that you can get ahead. And so, very teachable moment. I think the kid will learn from this. I think all the kids will learn from this. And I see some comments where people were saying that the kid was getting bullied because people were, talking about what he did. I don't think it's being bullied because being bullied means that, somebody's picking on you. Somebody's belittling you. I don't think they're belittling this kid. I'm not belittling him. I'm just saying that he had a bad moment. And in that bad moment, he can learn something from it. And he can take that and hopefully, and I don't know how good the kid is in football, but hopefully he can take that energy and turn it into something positive on the football field. And hopefully get a scholarship, play in the NFL if he's lucky enough. And so, and yeah, TC, I agree. That's teenagers being teenagers. But this day and age now, teenagers are not like us because they got social media. They got cell phones all the time. And so their stuff is video. Their stuff is always presented, in a different light than when it was us. We didn't have all of that. So people couldn't go watch that from way across in another country or somewhere another, in another state or something like that. So, that's the way I look at that, And so friend Neil said the kid need to be corrected too. Cam should have not disrespected him, especially something he sponsored. He has the credentials. Kids think that the adults are equal. Yeah, I agree with you. And both of them can share some blame, Neil. But I think both of them corrected in the day. Cam just went to him and tried to tell him that I was trying to talk to you, and the kid. Of course, he's showing out in front of his friends, and they thought that was the coolest thing or whatever. So, both of them has some blame to do with this particular thing. I can't talk on that right now, Janet, because I'm past the Serena stuff, but I kind of agree with you. All right, so but with the Cam Newton thing, hopefully Cam, he can come back and show this kid that I'm a free agent. I had a bad year last year. COVID was bad. I got it, and then I didn't play good the rest of the season. I didn't have any off season. Went to a new team, whatever. And so hopefully he can come back and show this kid that I was a free agent, and you see what happens. Like I can come back and I can play at a strong high level like I used to. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to our next topic. Next topic is gonna be, and I'm counting on stuff like that. This right here is prime time at Jackson State. Deion Sanders went to Jackson State University, HBCU, and coaching football. And I think he's done a tremendous job so far, because when he went in, he said he wanted to change that university. And I think his whole mindset is to change the university altogether, not just the football program, because he's bringing in these big name recruits. He's stolen a lot of recruits. I ain't gonna say he stole them. He convinced a lot of kids to change their mind and come and sign with Jackson State. And they had their first game, with this COVID stricken stuff. They had their first game, and they had a big win, 53-0. And his coaching debut, but it had to be overshadowed by something else. He goes back to his office, and lo and behold, some of his things are stolen. Got his bag. So, he said that one of his coaches, went in and saw, a gentleman leaving out and taking some things. And a lot of people said Deion tried to make it about him. But no, what he was using himself an example to show people like, people don't care who you are, what you're trying to do, but we got to change the culture around the school. So it's not just the football program that I'm trying to change. I'm trying to change the entire culture. Like, you don't have to steal from me. You don't have to try to sneak in my office and take anything. It's not like that. We can move ahead and we can be better without doing those type of things. And, eventually they found some stuff. But this is my issue with the thing. I think the school did a bad job of supporting Deion in this. They come out with a statement basically saying that Deion stuff wasn't stolen. It was just misplaced and, just a big misunderstanding. And Deion came out with some tweets and stuff saying that wasn't true. This stuff was stolen. Whoever made that comment, they didn't know what they was talking about. And here's my thing. TC just took it right out of, just took the words right out of me right here. He's not going to be there long with this type of stuff. As you can see, his name and his name alone recruits big time players. Now, he went to a HBCU to get black colleges, something to look forward to bring something to the table for them, because, their game should be on TV. Show that you can go to a black college, still go to the NFL and have a professional career. And with the way the school is handling things, trying to, I call it, backstabbing, because this happened and you're going to try to turn around and say that, that's not what happened, and of course, if my stuff is stolen, I'm going to know it. I'm going to know my stuff stolen. Then why would one of my assistants go in and lie and say they came into my office and see somebody, a gentleman running out? And then the school don't do their fact checking and all that stuff. Eventually his stuff was found, but this is the second time that Deion had something taken from him. The first thing the first thing was in his truck. He had something stolen out of his vehicle. And it's just, and my thing was, and I heard, somebody say earlier that he wished that Deion wouldn't have said this publicly because it would shine a bad light on Jackson State. I see it both ways because I can see it that way too, because the first thing someone's going to say is, well, if this stuff is happening to the coach, why am I going to send my child there? Why am I going to send my child there? And, but at the same time, this is the way I look at it. Just like with the Cam Newton situation, the kid, this could be a teaching moment, and you can see that this program can get better and better and better just from this situation, because people will start seeing that, well, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to be this way simply because, we could be better together. And that's just in life. That's in general. That's just in the world this day. But in this situation, we could be better together. And it will make Jackson State University can grow from this. And I feel like if they keep Deion there, that will help their football program more and more and more. And then you'll start getting better quality college students coming there also. Because if you look at all the big name schools that have good athletic programs or great athletic programs, you don't hear about stuff like this simply because everything they bring in and everything they bring in is going to be good, because it's going to be all about, education, and things of that nature. So it's going to make the whole surrounding thing better. And the way I looked at it is this right here. Deion said something very, very profound, and it resonates with me. He said he was coming there to change the culture of the school, not just the football program, the culture of the school. And so if you change the culture of the school, you're going to change the culture of the football program. You're going to change the culture of the basketball program. You're going to change the culture of everything, because he's trying to make it a better place. He's trying to shed some light on HBCU, showing that, we can have something good. And so, like my thing is like, whatever's going on at Jackson State, I hope they fix it. I hope they get behind Deion with trying to change this right here. And, the taking them things and the stealing them things and all that good stuff, they just need to, I hope they stop it. I hope they stop it. And Sabrina, I agree, sister, change the culture of the school and funding. That's a big thing, because if you start getting these HBCUs on television and start getting these TV deals, that's more funding and stuff coming in. That's a whole lot of funding coming in. How you think all of these Division I schools like the Alabamas and the LSUs and all of them, how you feel like in Florida, how you think and Notre Dame, they got big TV deals, which means that they just got money coming in because they playing on TV. If you get some of these HBCUs to get contracts with some of these TV stations, then that's more money pumping into them. Then you can get the facilities that these other, because that's a recruiting point. If you ever been recruited in sports, the main thing you look at, especially in Division I programs, especially now, you look at the facilities and stuff that you have and say, this is where I can grow. And if I go to this school and the facility is okay, but then I go to Alabama and everything is just glamorous and glorious, that's where I want to go. And they get that stuff by having, they're able to recruit, they're able to have TV deals. So the more money you have coming in, the better coaching you get, the better players you get. And it's just that simple. So we can get some, some stuff in there and get some TV deals and, a few games here and there. And then, you see where it goes. But just a TV deal to play on ESPN every now and again, ABC or something like that, that makes a big difference in recruiting, because that's where that money and stuff roll in at. That's where it rolls in at. And that's what people fail to realize is, the HBCUs, yeah, they can have some good talent, but if you're not being seen, what good is it if you're not being seen? So, hopefully they get this situation straight. They find a way to come together and quit, undermining stuff that Dion has going on, or, whatever's going on there. But, I just hope they come together, because I think that he's a great asset to Jackson State. Like I said, just his name alone would do a whole lot of recruiting and get a whole lot of players and stuff to come in. All right, so we're going to move on. And my next topic is going to be NBA power rankings. I haven't done this very much, but if at all. But I'm not real big on power rankings and all that good stuff. But I decided to do it because it's a lot of people that pays close attention to this stuff, and it can change from week to week, so it can be very interesting. So that's something that I'm going to start doing, with sports and all that good stuff. So we're really in the thick of the NBA season, so we're going to do a power ranking. And so with my power rankings right now, so my power ranking is this right here. I have the Nets at 1, the Jazz at 2, Clippers at 3, Suns 4, and the Lakers 5. And some of them are a little toss up, and this is just me from this week right here, week to week, whatever. And I take into consideration, who you lost to, how many games you lost, how many games you won. And right now, I have the Lakers at 5. I mean, they lost the last 2. They've been on a kind of like a little downward spiral since AD went out. And that's a big part of the Lakers. AD being out and LeBron having to carry the load, but not having the extra, 22, 23 points per game to carry them over or whatever. So the Lakers, they're second in the West, which that's a big deal. They're second in the West. But like I said, they've been declining since AD went out. We're not for sure what's going to happen with him. And LeBron's going to have to figure out a way to carry this team without killing himself, logging a whole bunch of minutes and exerting himself. I know he said he doesn't get tired, but, I'm going to just tell you like this right here. I don't care who you are. The older you get, Father Time starts kicking in. Yeah, but, and I agree with you, TC. He doing everything he can, but his age is showing without the help. I agree with that. And if AD is out and AD doesn't come back, or is worse than what they think it is, then the Lakers might not make it out the first round without no help, because LeBron would I just feel like he would exert himself too much. But then next I have the Suns. The Suns is just, I watched them in the bubble last season, and they had the best record in the bubble, if I'm not mistaken. And, they were just playing good, winning basketball. Serena Williams did a good job of, getting them motivated, getting them, to play together. But then off-season acquisition, they add Chris Paul. And me personally, I thought Chris Paul should have won MVP last year. A lot of people think the MVP is a stat-driven thing or a popularity thing. Is more so MVP is the most valuable player. If you took Chris Paul off Oklahoma City last year, they would have been the lottery. You could have took some of these other guys off. Antetokounmpo, you could have took him off, and he would have the team would have been just fine. They would have been. I ain't gonna say they would have made it, but I mean they would have been just fine with the team, because they showed that they could win without him. You could have took AD off of the Lakers and they would have made the playoffs. Could have took LeBron off the Lakers, they would have been the Pelicans from 3-4 years ago, whenever AD, made them the 7th to 8th seed. But you took Chris Paul, and now you add him to the Suns team with, a Devin Booker and, and those guys, man, and they're playing real good basketball right now. They won 8 of the last 10. They fourth in the West. That's a big deal. And it's still early, but I just think when Chris Paul gets a part of an organization, that kind of he puts his fingerprints on it, and all his DNA, and then he just bring in a winning spirit, winning culture. Third, I have the Clippers. The Clippers are third in the West, and they just lost a tough game to the Nets last night. And, Paul George is coming off a toe injury. I think he missed the last 7 games, but he had 35 last night or something like that. Played like 33 minutes, and they took him out the game for, I guess it was minute restrictions because he coming off that injury or whatever. And, Kawhi's playing good basketball, and, the Clippers are a really good team. They're going kind of under the radar because of them getting their asses handed to them last year against with the Denver Nuggets. And so they kind of fly under the radar now because a lot of people don't really respect them. So, they just look at them as the other team in LA. And so until they change that themselves, then, they're going to continue to have that. But I got them third right now. Then I had the Jazz. The Jazz is having an unbelievable season. They're playing real good basketball. They're defending. I mean, they're beating, all of these other teams. The only team they hadn't beat, they lost. They won 9 of the last 10. Only loss came to the Nets. And, I mean, Rudy Gobert is, doing what he's supposed to do. Then you got Spider Mitchell. He's playing real good basketball. Mike Conley's playing real good basketball now. I hope he make an all-star because that's something he hasn't done for, his career. But they really playing really good basketball right now. So I have them second. And then first I have the Nets. The Nets just went on a West Coast road trip. And they finished the road trip undefeated. And the last 4 or 5, I think 5 was without KD, the best player. So that says a lot about them. But before I get on them, TC, you made a good point. Jordan Clarkson is having a real good season. He's having a really good season. But yeah, the Nets, the change, I'm not sure if it came from Kyrie or if it came from Steve Nash, but the change that Kyrie has done. I have to, I got on Kyrie, in one of my, previous episodes saying, he was kind of being kind of selfish and the way he handled stuff was wrong. But Kyrie's playing unselfish basketball. And I think the best thing that the Nets could have did was let James Harden run the point because James makes better decisions with the basketball than Kyrie. And Kyrie doesn't have to worry about running the team or, being that leader on the team or, like that. So James is doing that. All Kyrie has to do is score. That's all he has to do is score. And he's playing really good basketball. And then KD, I think they just being real cautious with him because, he had that Achilles tear and a lot of other stuff start bothering you. You got a strain, hamstring, which I don't think they want him to overexert himself. And then they're playing good basketball. I think this right here, KD's injury and him being out helps this team a whole lot more because you got all of these other guys that's playing really good basketball. And at the end of the day, if the entire team is playing good, the role players and all that good stuff, they will. It will be trouble for anybody when KD come back because they play and people are saying, oh, they don't play defense, but who's going to outscore them? And then I watch them whenever they have to get down and play defense, they really get down and play defense. And, the supporting cast is playing good, like the Joe Harris and DeAndre Jordan and Jeff Green, all those guys are really playing good. So next week it could change, but as of right now, I feel like the Nets are the best in the league right now, and that's without Kevin Durant. And A lot of people say, well, we haven't seen them play a whole lot together and all that good stuff. But this is what people fail to realize. James Harden can facilitate. Kyrie can score, and they'll get their shots. Now, they might not get as many when KD come back, but KD doesn't need a lot of shots to get his 25 or 30. You can get KD 12 to 15 shots, and he's going to easily get you close to 30 points a game. So once you incorporate that in there, the Nets are going to be trouble for everybody. Like a whole lot of trouble. And like I said, they just finished this West Coast road trip undefeated without KD. And so, we'll see. Next week, I'll come back with something different. We'll see. We'll see what happens with next week NBA Power, the Power Rankings. All right, so we're going to move to the next one. We're going to stay in the NBA. And the NBA, we're talking about the NBA All-Stars. And the All-Stars, they got a little controversy going on. I'll talk about that for a second. A lot of those guys don't really want to play in the All-Star game because there's no point, with COVID going on. And then the city they're having in, because Atlanta lives like, everything is normal and they partying and doing whatever. So, you kind of put them and their family at risk whenever they go there. But the NBA got some, what people fail to realize is this right here. They say don't play the All-Star game, but the NBA and the Players Association have a collective bargaining agreement, which, has all of this stuff in there. So they got to find a way to make the money they lost from last year. And they got to keep these TV contracts, keep their business partners happy. So it's all contractual, but so they got to keep all this stuff going. So, that being said, we're going to look at the starters for the All-Star game. And I don't like the All-Star game set up anymore. It's not East versus West. We're going to go out here. We're going to have two captains. We're going to have a draft. I think with the way things are now and the parity they have a little bit better now, the West is not as strong. I ain't going to say as strong. It's not as overpowering as it used to be to the East. So I think it's a lot of parity. So I wish they would go back to the East and West instead of, this picking stuff and all that good stuff. So we're going to start with the West starters. We got the West starters was Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard. And that's a pretty good sound all-star caliber cast. My only issue is with that West, I look at it and I feel like Dame Lillard should have been in there in front of Luka Doncic. And a lot of people are real high on Luka. I think Luka's a good basketball player, but I don't think, and y'all, you can correct me later on if you want to, but I'm saying this now, and I've been saying it because I watch him and everybody makes a real big deal about him. But the way he plays, he's a stat chaser, and the Mavs won't win a championship under him playing that way. But neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, Luka is 10th. His team is 10th. And Dame is 5th in the West. And I think maybe a game out of 4th. And I don't understand how Dame keeps getting overlooked year after year after year after year. Because his stats show for it. And then he's been having a bevy of injuries on his team. His sidekick, CJ McCullough, been out. And Dame is still putting up these type of numbers, MVP caliber numbers, and he continues to get looked over. And people can say, he playing Portland. That's bull crap to me. Because regardless if you watch the games or not, and a lot of people don't even watch games. They just go look at highlights or look at stats and try to look at that. If you look at Dame's stats, you can't be like, Dame deserves to start over Luka Doncic. That's my opinion. That's a lot of few other people. Yeah, Sabrina, you got to follow the money. You're right about that. And hey, Rodney, Dame should be starting over Luka. That's my opinion too. And I was talking about Luka and the way he was playing. Brian, you're right. They force him to they force a point guard on him, and I don't think he should be point. We've discussed, me and you and a couple other people have discussed this, several times, talking about what he shouldn't be playing point. But that's the West starters, and so now we're going to take a look at the East starters. And the East starters are as goes: Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. And me personally, I don't think I will make any changes to this one right here. A lot of people might say, well, you could have put James Harden in there, but James came to the East a little bit later. But Kyrie's playing real good basketball. Don't get me wrong. James should make the All-Star, but I don't see nothing wrong. And Bradley Beal is very deserving of this. And even though his team is bad, but it's hard to not put a guy in there who's averaging 30-something points a game. And he's doing everything to make a bad team better. So, I mean, if I had to change one, it might be Beal for Harden. But I think Beal is, kind of, earned his way to that spot. I mean, I just made a comment about Luka being 10th and Dame Lillard them being at 5th, and so Dame should be starting over. But with Beal, I think he's played his way and worked his way to be a starter and be an all-star, period. Durant is Durant. Joel Embiid is playing MVP type basketball. And then we got Antetokounmpo. He's been kind of up and down this year, but I mean, I think, he should be deserving. And, most of the time, these all-stars are, basically, a popularity contest at the end of the day. So, I think the East is pretty straight. I think the East could that could stay the same. I wouldn't change too much on the East. I wouldn't change too much. Then so we're gonna move right along, and we are going to talk about my football team. And my football team, hold on, I gotta take something off. Give me a second. We're gonna talk about the Carson Wentz trade to Indy. I wasn't gonna talk about this because I get real emotional about it, but because I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. But I think the Eagles made a bad decision on this trade here. I think they really made a bad decision. Yes, Sabrina, bless me. I think the Eagles just made a bad decision. I keep saying that because I'd be kind of lost for words whenever I talk about the Eagles and what happened. I just don't understand how 2017 the guy took us 11-2. And then he ended up getting hurt in the LA Coliseum against the Rams. Got hurt on a play, then goes out there for, I think, another 2 snaps, and we score a touchdown. And then, Nick Foles take over and we win the Super Bowl. I don't care who would have been quarterback. Our team was that good that I felt like if Carson was playing or Foles was playing, we would have won the Super Bowl because we had an all-around good team. So then the next year comes and we don't play well. We have a whole bunch of injuries. The year after that, same thing. He get us a divisional crown with, guys that they picked up from over there across the street at the 7-Eleven and, all that good stuff. But then this past year was just god-awful. And he took a blunt of the blame because of how bad he played, but we played bad as a team. So you sign this guy to over $100 million contract, and then after one bad season, and not just him having a bad, he ended up losing the job to Jalen Hurts, and I think they had no other choice but to sit him down simply because of how bad he was playing. But the team played bad. So then we found a way to trade him. Now, imagine that we had just signed him to a big contract saying he was the future. But then you turn around and you want to trade him after a bad season. One, I think we gave up on him too late. Too soon. Then you got to take into consideration, all his weapons and everything was just dismantled. Deshaun Jackson got hurt. Alshon Jeffries was out. The running game was good, but we never ran the football. Okay. So they traded to Indy for a third and a second that could possibly be a first. And we took a cap hit of $33.8 million in dead cap. So they got to pay him that money this season. And you can't do anything moving forward. My question with this is, who comes out better, the Eagles or the Colts? And in my opinion, my opinion is the Colts came out better because Carson Wentz is going back with Frank Reich, who, in my opinion, was the sole reason why our offense was so good in winning the Super Bowl. He's going there with some competent pieces. And I think that he will revitalize his bad season and have a hell of a season this year. And the Eagles lost because we got Jalen Hurts. A lot of people were sold on him after 4 games. Remember, he went 1-3 and had the same issues that Wentz has, besides he just got out and ran more. His accuracy is terrible. He took 13 sacks in 4 games. 13 sacks in 4 games. Fumbled the football. Turned the football over. And I've never been sold on him since Alabama and OU. Never been sold on him. I just felt like he was in great programs that made him look better than what he was. And then whenever he had to play against, the better caliber teams, defenses, he struggled. So Carson goes to Indy, and my team is in disarray. So I don't know if we're rebuilding. And if we're rebuilding, which I'm fine with it, that's what you want to do. But now you got to get rid of everything. You got to get rid of everything. You got to get rid of Fletcher Cox. You already done released Deshaun Jackson. Alshon Jeffries is next. I mean, you got to let, all Brandon Graham, all of these guys go if you want to do a full rebuild. We're too old. And Natel, I agree with you. But no, Natel, I can't agree with you on that. Because a lot of stuff that came out, you never heard him speak on it. And then if you go back and you look at it, Natel, Adam Schefter said, if Carson Wentz doesn't want to be a backup, he didn't say Carson Wentz said that. He said he had reason to believe that Carson Wentz didn't want to be a backup and that he would ask for a trade. He had to go back out there and clarify all that stuff. And if you watched all the games, even whenever he was benched, Natel, he went. When they scored touchdowns, he was the first guy on that field waiting for all of them to come off and give them high fives. Whenever they called timeouts, he sat and he talked to Jalen Hurts to try to help him through everything. I just don't feel like that guy is that type of guy. If you go and look at it, a lot of stuff that came out, go look at Alshon Jeffries' history. He's known for doing stuff like this right here. He's known for putting stuff out there. And then all of a sudden, where does all these sources come from that nobody can name? Like, everybody tried to come up with excuses about this guy being a bad teammate, but now all of a sudden, a lot of these guys are speaking good about him. So I don't think he's a bad teammate. I just think Philly, you got to realize, we just ran one of the best quarterbacks that we could possibly have on our team away because of a bad season. And our fans, remember this, Philly used to be the nation's capital until the Philadelphians ran them off. So you think about that, then you think about this situation, you think about everything that's going on. And we are a bad fan base whenever it comes to quarterbacks and the backup quarterback. And we are stuck in the moment from 3 years ago when we won the Super Bowl. So I think we need to clean house. And that way, you don't have nobody that won that Super Bowl that can hang their hat and say, oh, we won a Super Bowl. No, you didn't win a Super Bowl if you clean house. We handled winning the wrong way. And unfortunately, I was looking at it as, oh, they got rid of Doug, so this is going to be a good start for Carson. No, they clean house. They should have just did that from the start. We got a bad GM. Wentz is going to Indy, and I do believe he's going to tear things up. And I think that we are going to be bottom sellers for the unforeseeable future. I just don't see Philly recovering from this in 1 to 2 years. And if we feel like Jalen Hurts is the answer, we are going to be the Baltimore Ravens on crack. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's the way I look at it. And so, as we keep moving right along, I'm going to have my final word. And my final word is basically it's about some comments that Draymond Green made the other day. Draymond Green made some comments about the players getting fined or not having the same respect as the teams or whatever, and said that if a player comes out like James Harden wanted to be traded, AD publicly came out and said he wanted to be traded, he would find like over $100,000, and James dogged it in Houston to get traded because he wanted to be traded, and everybody dogged him out about that. They tried to turn him into the bad guy and all that good stuff. And the team can come out and say publicly they trading this person and everything is fine. And these comments came because Detroit decided they were going to sit Blake Griffin, and the Cavs were going to sit Andre Drummond until they had some suitable trade offers that they were going to use to send them on a merry way. And I had some people to come to me and say, the players got the power, and the players should have used that power whenever they went to the negotiating table during the bubble. And what people fail to realize is something I said a little bit earlier. Whenever you have contractual agreements, the CBA, TV deals, all that good stuff, anything that you want to come and negotiate, it can't be negotiated because that stuff makes everything that you want to talk about and try to renegotiate null and void. So it was saying that some of the players should have used their voice and not played because they deserve more power. They got the power. What you fail to realize is somebody has the right to check. You're never going to have more power than the person writing the check. Do I think the players need more respect whenever it comes to certain things? Yes, I do. A player signs a contract should be able to say, if it ain't working out, hey, I want to be traded. I want to go to another situation. Instead of being scolded and saying, we pay you a lot of money, you sign this contract, you got to stay and live up to it. Versus a team signing you to that same contract, and then they come a year or two later, they might not like the direction that it's going in. You're happy there, and then they say they traded you, and you're supposed to be okay with it. And nobody gives them or bat an eye or gives them a hard time or anything like that. So I agree with Draymond Green. When it's all said and done, the players need respect. And that's the key word that he used. He didn't say power. He didn't say he wanted control or they wanted control. He said respect. Because one thing that, owners and, people who control these teams don't understand is if I go buy a ticket to go to a football game, an NBA game, baseball game, any type of sporting event that I want to go to, I'm not going there to see no owner. The only owner that a lot of people go and see is Michael Jordan. They want to see Michael Jordan. They just want to get a glimpse of greatness, of what the GOAT looks like. But when it's all said and done, I'm going there to see a sporting event, and I want to see the best play and perform at the highest level. So I think the owners need to start understanding that we go there to see them, and these players make them a lot of money. And yes, they have the power, but at the same time, these players need more respect, because you can use them, and then throw them out to the wolves whenever you done used them enough, and then try to get rid of them, and they no good in their next situation. And some of these players are very loyal to a lot of organizations. Some of the organizations are loyal to the players. But at the end of the day, I feel like they need a whole lot more respect than what they get. So if they go and they ask for a trade, don't try and make it seem like, you contractually obligated to stay. Yes, I am. But we can work something out, together in agreement and say, hey, this is not working out. We need to find another direction. So let me move on, you move on, and we go from there. End the story. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what happened with JJ Watt. He goes to the owners. He's contractually signed to them, saying that he was going to play for them. He asked for a release. They came together and they released him. You didn't hear anything about that. But, these NBA players, they go and they can ask for a trade. They're not happy where they want to be. They got to live up to that obligation, but the team doesn't have to live up to theirs. Whenever they get tired, or they want to they get tired of, seeing you not do whatever, or don't like the direction the team going in. Oh, I'm going to trade you. And it's okay. And it's not okay, because if the players ask for a trade, then you basically tell them, hell no. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to stay. And they basically have to force their way out of situation. And it makes them look bad. Do I think James Harden dogged it in Houston? Yes. Do I think James had to force his way out of Houston? Yes. But if Houston wanted to get rid of James, would they have had to force their way to get from up under James? No. All they would have had to do was make a few phone calls, a couple of suitors, get the right deal, send James packing. James would have had to go and report to that city. If the trade happened that morning, he'd been on a plane that afternoon, taking the physical that afternoon. So I feel like a lot of the stuff that goes on in sports, I think that owners need to respect the players need to respect the owners, and they can come together and quit trying to make these players look bad whenever they don't want to be in a situation that they thought was going to be good 2 or 3 years ago. The same thing that you would do 2 or 3 years ago. You felt like it was going to be good, and then boom, hey, it's not working out. I'm sending you on your way. So if the player comes and asks for it, I mean, at least hear him out, listen to him, and see what you guys can come up with. Because who wants to be at a job that you're not happy at? It's that simple to me. Who wants to be at a job that you're not happy with? And we all do it. And a lot of people say, oh, they pay them millions and millions and millions of dollars. Yes, they do. They do pay them a lot of money. But some of you get paid good money too, but you'll find a better job to get more money. So, owners start respecting the players. Players continue to respect the owners. And at the end of the day, y'all just make money together. Yeah, they're going to end up making more than you, but a lot of you are becoming real wealthy just by doing something that you really love. And to end it all, I just want to say, for everybody who commented, everybody who logged on and checked me out, I really appreciate you. I'll be back next Monday, and we'll have some more topics. And everybody go subscribe to the page. I'll start adding that stuff in, and so And then eventually I'm gonna set up an Instagram page where you can go and follow all that good stuff. But I appreciate everybody coming to check out. And if y'all have any suggestions, you feel free to send us a message. We'll check it out and we'll go from there. Sabrina, I am glad you enjoyed it. Hey, I'll see you next week. Y'all have a good one.